Yo, what's happening, guys? It's your boy Uncle P with another episode of Uncle P's podcast. Yes, guys, this is a completely different video than what you guys are normally used to. Uncle P is not here grilling or cooking anybody. The first thing I want to ask before we even reach a minute of this video is that everyone to please watch this video in full, especially my Nigerian brothers. This video was inspired by a lot of the hate messages that I get in my DMs. They are getting worse, they are getting heavier, and I think it's time for the Nigerians to understand one thing. I'm a foreigner in South Africa. Some of you may call me Kwere Kwere or whatever it is that you want to call me. Just like many other foreigners in this country. For those of you that know my story, you know I came here to study until eventually, as I grew older, I was supposed to move back to Angola, but my parents decided that we should stay here because this country was better, the conditions were better than Angola. I want to tell you guys the story of my life, and I'm going to try, I don't know how, I'm going to try to get into details as much as I possibly can. When I was young, my family made a decision to send me to Netherlands, Holland. And this decision came after my brother died. For those of you who do not know, I used to be a twin. So there used to be two of me. Yes, there would have been double it really. I didn't know this until very, very later on in my life. And most of you will be like, how did you not know? I'll explain. When I went to Netherlands, it was because my brother died. I went with an uncle of mine. And according to the story, I went there to go stay with a sister, my mother's sister, who lived in Netherlands. But when we go to the airport, the immigration had taken me and my uncle to different rooms. And they asked us several questions. I was very young. So one of the questions they asked was if my uncle was my father. And I said, no, he was my uncle. And I think my uncle was asked the very same question. And he stated that he was my father. Because of this, they would not let me and him be together, or rather they would not give me back to him because they thought he had kidnapped me from Angola and brought me there. Eventually, from what I can remember, is he told them that no, my parents did allow him to travel with me. I believe they called my parents in Angola, which they confirmed, but they needed my parents to do a written letter, and there were some things that they needed to do. So my uncle was going to go back to Angola without me, because they needed to be very sure this was the case, that I was not kidnapped. So my uncle then requested that he goes into town to buy a couple of things which he was going to take to Angola with him, so that he didn't go back empty-handed. Sorry guys, my windows are open, it's raining, and I think I just let mosquitoes in here. So when he went into the city, he basically decided to run away, and he left me at the airport. There 2 days later, a white family came to pick me up, who then became my new family. I got adopted by a white family. Some of you will be, why didn't they call your parents back in Angola? That I've got no idea, guys. I honestly do not know why. But I got adopted by this white family, and this is where my new life started. This family loved me, took care of me, raised me, put me in school, and taught me what they taught me. Let's fast forward to 1997. A woman shows up in Netherlands and claiming that she's my mother. Eventually, a DNA test was done. She had brought enough evidence with the DNA test to prove that she was my biological mother. After a couple of court dates where my family, my adopted family fought for me to stay, they ended up losing the case. The court decided that I should go back to Angola. When I go to Angola, I remember landing, when the plane landed and we're stepping out. Just the sheer smell of the oxygen of that country was just unbearable. The air itself was so smelly. The heat was so thick, so wet, so like, you know, you could smell it and feel it. And it was just terrible. We eventually got into the car. It took us probably 6 to 7 hours to travel from the airport to where we lived. We lived in a community called Mabori. It was a community that was mostly overshadowed or crowded with Congolese people. My life in Angola for a few weeks, maybe a month, was really terrible. I experienced physical abuse, which was not common to in Netherlands. Any opinion that I had, anything that I did not like, I got beaten. I didn't know that in Africa, unfortunately, parents, when you have an opinion or a say, shut, everything was a whipping. Eventually, I started getting very sick and I kept running away from home, but I only ran as far as outside the gate because I didn't know which way to go. Whether you looked left or right, it was just dusty. So I didn't know which direction I was going to run. The plan was to run to a police station. Yeah, it's unlike South Africa where I can just step out and go to the right. There's Bedfordview Police Station, there's Edenville Police Station, there's Primrose Police Station, there's Campton Park Police Station, or I can just call 10-111. Or was it, which one did we learn in school? 10-111. In Angola, that didn't exist. So I always came back, and every time I came back, I got a whipping. Eventually, I started getting sick because of the conditions of the country. I mean, just to brush your teeth, you had to take a cup and a toothbrush, go outside, wash your face, bath yourself, take a bucket. You know, when you wanted to use the toilet, you had to squat. It was basically a whole, I think most of you know how third world countries work. I started getting extremely sick and my parents were worried that I was going to die. So they then sent me to South Africa. They didn't want to send me back to Europe because they felt like I was going to run away to the, I don't know, I was going to run away. So they sent me to South Africa because South Africa was the closest country in Africa that was similar to Europe with 4 seasons. And obviously my body was so accustomed to cold because Netherlands back then it was extremely cold, a lot of snow. And South Africa had, back in 1997, back then the weather here, the cold was really cold. It's not like today. So I came to South Africa in 1997 in February, and I came here with my uncle, another uncle, not the same uncle. That uncle disappeared. Till this day, I don't know what happened to him. Guys, for those of you that do not watch full videos, I implore you to watch this full video because I really want to get my channel or my message to a place where we understand that my message is not of hate, but rather yet is to make foreigners realize that what we are doing is wrong. When I came to South Africa for 17 years, my uncle mistreated me. He beat me, he tortured me, he basically did everything he could possibly do. Most of you will ask, why would your uncle do that? Well, in my family, my father has 6 children from 3 different women. And my mom was the one that was always the woman next to my father. And my family didn't approve of my mother because they felt like my mother was guiding my father into the knowledge and the intelligence to be able to control his money. So we came from poverty and my father started getting wealthy because of what him and my mother were doing. And my family, obviously my brother, his brothers, his sisters felt like they needed to enjoy his wealth because everybody was poor. And my mother was the one stopping him from misusing his money. So to get back at my mother, obviously they took it out on me. I'll give you an example that I can remember vividly. Oh my goodness, when the data bundle for English starts depleting. Vivid. That I remember like it was yesterday. Oh, Lord have mercy. I remember my uncle would take us to eat at McDonald's or Chicken Licken because KFC wasn't around back then a lot. Or Chicken Licken. He would go and he would order the food and then we'll step out and go into ShopRite. And he will buy brown bread and tea. And then we'll go back into the restaurant and they would sit. When the food would come, I would realize that he only ordered for himself, my 2 brothers and my sister, and they would eat while I watched them. And this happened a lot. And he always say that, why don't you call your mom? You know, they have money to buy you food. And for years, as he punished me, some of the punishment that he used to give me would be, he would put bottle caps underneath my kneecaps, and he'll make me hold the brick on top of my head. Sometimes I'd get tired, the brick would fall on my head. The bottle caps would pierce through my skin. And if I try to stand up, I'll get beaten even more, to an extent where sometimes I'll just pass out, wake up the next morning in the same spot. Sometimes there'll be blood, I'll pull off my own tears. Sometimes I'll just shit myself, urinate myself, and you beat me for doing that. And then I have to wake up, take a shower, put on my uniform, and still go to school. School was my escape. It was the only place where I felt safe, because if I did well, I was awarded. So I did extremely well in school. I was always either number 1 or number 2 in class. I did gymnastics, I did sports. But as the years went by, the constant beating, the constant punishment started taking an effect and a toll on me, because I would get beaten for getting all A's. What are you trying to prove? What are you trying to show? You are bringing too much attention to yourself. And the older I got, and the more I cried to my mom and my dad for what my uncle was doing, and the more they didn't do anything about it, I couldn't take it anymore. So in 2012, I ran away from home, and I became homeless, and I lived in the streets. I lived in the streets for 3 years. In that 3 years, I experienced a lot of pain, a lot of suffering, a lot of hardship. For me to be where I am today, to have the home that I have, I've got a very beautiful home. I got 4 amazing children. I've got a life that many people will probably kill for, which people actually are. There's one thing that has never changed in my life, that I've always been a truthful person. I grew up in a Christian home. I was a former minister, pastor. I studied theology, ministry. I used to preach the word of God. I left religion because of one reality. Religion limited me from showing the type of love that I believed existed in life. I grew up with an adopted family that loved me, read stories for me, that tucked me in bed. My mom apologized to me when she thought she was wrong, so did my dad. But when I came back to Africa, I experienced a completely different thing. I want my Nigerian brothers and Zimbabweans and Mozambicans, Malawis, and all the foreigners living in South Africa, and South Africans who are watching my channel, to understand one thing. My channel is not about hate, and it's not about division. My channel is about Africa Unite. I've said this many times in my channel, that Nigerians, you are proving me right. What do I mean by that statement? When you come into my DMs and you insult me, when you come into the comments and you insult South Africans, you are proving us right. Guys, just like everybody else, I'm also a refugee. I was also a refugee, technically. I'm also in a country that is not mine. Telling me to go back to my country and everything is not going to happen. And it's not going to happen because the same reason you Nigerians, Zimbabweans, Mozambicans are running away from the country is the same reason why I don't want to go back. But the difference between me and you is that I chose to be a law-abiding citizen in this country. Life hasn't been easy for me in South Africa. From being homeless to being arrested because I look like a Nigerian and I did absolutely nothing, because they assume that my ID is fake because it says nationality, Angolan, and they're like, but you look Nigerian. I went through a lot. I spent 1 week in jail. I've never been to prison, but I've been to the police cells where you sit there for the whole weekend, sometimes the whole week, because they're trying to confirm that your identity is not fraudulent. Even with my mom and dad still living in Angola, where they could have easily just called them, they could have looked at my phone and realized, they could have asked me to sing the national anthem of Angola. I know part of it. No, I'm lying. I don't know the Angolan national anthem. I don't know the Angolan national anthem. Guys, I went through a lot in my life and I suffered a lot. Nigerians, I want you guys to realize something. There's 2 things that we can do on this channel. We can either expose the Nigerian government for the pain and suffering of the Nigerian people, and we can expose every single rotten Nigerian that is giving Nigeria a bad name. The thing is, the Nigerians coming into my comments that are complaining, that are fighting and trying to defend Nigeria, trying to make Nigeria look great. Who are you people? Because the reality of Nigeria is out there. What are you trying to defend? What country are you trying to call a giant? Because that doesn't exist. Angola is a shit country. Congo is a shit country. The murders that, watch the next couple of episodes that I will do. I've got a very interesting story to do on Congo and the murders that are happening in Congo. Zimbabwe is a no man's land. Mozambique right now is burning. My channel is not here to cause division. One thing you need to realize is that I'm a very smart man. I'm very intelligent. I have triggered enough people and I have made enough people happy. Now everybody is listening to me. Now I no longer have 200 subscribers. I no longer have 500. Now I've got 3,700 and I keep growing every single day. I can use this platform for two things. I can use it to expose Nigerians and every single African country and protect South Africa, or I can use this channel to unite Africa. The choice is yours. But coming to this channel, threatening me and sending me the type of DMs that you're sending me, which I will be exposing in the next episodes, will not get us anywhere. I came to this country and I suffered and I went through what I went through with my family and my life. But that never changed the type of man that I am. Who you are should never change because of your conditions. Whether you have money or whether you have food or not. A good person remains a good person regardless. My channel is preaching unity. My channel is preaching legal immigration. My channel is preaching protecting each other. If that message is being received wrong, then you are the problem. I welcome Nigerians, Zimbabweans, and every nation that I cook, grill, and expose in my channel to send me content on their government and what is happening in their country and allow me to expose it. Send me videos and content of your brothers and sisters who are doing wrong in other countries and allow me to expose them. Because right now, what a lot of you are not understanding, Africa is under attack. Africa is under attack. And the only people that can save Africa is Africans. And the reality is, when you're hungry, when you lack, all you think about is to put food in your stomach. And when promises are being made to you that makes you think that the future is going to be better, you go for it. And this is what Europe, America, Russia, China, all these people are promising us. For years and years, Europe has lived the life they've lived, America has lived the life. We know if they were really helping us, Africa would have not been the way it is. But instead, they've used us. But Africa is waking up. If you look at Burkina Faso's president, Ibrahim Traore, who is only 36 years old, he's literally younger than me. He was born on the 14th of March, 1988. I was born December 7th, 1987. And I've always said this, it is my generation, our generation, that is going to bring change in the world. It is our time to lead, not this old man that have been leading us for years. But our problem is we love life so much that we are afraid to die. I can be, Nigerians are threatening to unalive me for this small truth that I'm making. A channel with 3,700 people, and you are threatening to unalive me. For exposing how your government is misrunning your country. For exposing the crooks and the corruption of your people. Zimbabweans are even also coming into the DMs and threatening. Don't speak about Zimbabwe, we know who you are. Guys, it's not about knowing who I am. Unaliving me will not change the situation in Nigeria or Zimbabwe, and neither will it change the truth. One thing about me is I've accepted a lot of reality because of the past and the life that I've lived. I have felt the kind of pain that I pray and I wish for nobody. I've got a very good life right now. Not really very good life, but I've got a life that many people would appreciate and love. And I've always known that my mission is to unite people. If sometimes I'm broke and sometimes I'm lacking things, it's because I love helping people. And my love for helping people has led me to holes that I did not want to get into. Africa Unite is a reality, and I know many people don't believe in But in order for that to happen, unfortunately, blood is going to be shed. South Africa cannot vote for another 50, 60-year-old man in the next election. They cannot. They need to refuse that. Neither can Ghana, neither can Nigeria, neither can Senegal, neither can Cameroon, neither can Congo, neither can Zimbabwe. These old men are corrupt and they want nothing. Nothing. They are doing nothing to benefit Africa but themselves and their families. It is time for change. And the only way we can do that is to unite. Nigerians, it is time for you guys to start coming to this channel and appreciating the fact that I'm exposing your government, rather than exposing your foul brothers for the wrong that they're doing. There's nothing wrong with you jabbering into people's countries, but there's everything wrong when you jabber and you use fraudulent ways to stay in those countries and to find financial means. Because when you do that, it is the people of that country that now suffers. Today, South Africa is known as the HIV Republic. South Africa is known as the country with the largest corruption. Somebody even said, I Googled and it showed me the six biggest, most dangerous cities in the world is in South Africa. And I say to that person, go look at the people who are living in those cities. Are majority foreigners. I'm a foreigner myself, but I chose to be legal in South Africa. I chose to be a law-abiding citizen. I chose to pay tax, VAT, whatever it is that I needed to pay, which is right as a citizen of this country. Why can you not do the same? If we cannot fight for our countries and we cannot fix our countries, and guys, stop telling me to go fight for Angola. I will not fight for Angola. My Portuguese is not even good enough for me to go fight for Angola. Angolans who are living in Angola are not even fighting for Angola. We have given up on our countries because we are being unalived when we do stand and fight. Here in South Africa, I can start a strike here in South Africa. I will not be unalived because it's my right to do so. But the moment you do it in Nigeria or anywhere else, you get unalived or you get given rice and told to go home. I can change my content by exposing African governments and exposing all the corrupt individuals that are making the image of certain people seem bad. Or I can continue to cook the imbeciles and the idiots that come in my comment and insult me and think that they can threaten me by unaliving me. One thing that I know for sure, if you do successfully unalive me, the message is true and very loud. And if you do fail to unalive me, my God is greater than you. It took me time to shoot this episode because it was a very emotional one. I wanted to go deep into my personal life and explain to you guys where this passion I have for South Africa is and for the second chance that this country gave me and many people. And a lot of us are just tired. We are tired of the one chance that we have to have a decent life and a decent future. It's being destroyed. There's so much happening in South Africa right now. I've been focusing on talking about Nigerians and cooking Nigerians, and everybody has been. I've got so many DMs and messages on my device from South Africans and everyone sending me, hey, look what Nigerians are doing. Look what it's like, guys. Do you even know what's happening in South Africa? We can't even talk about what's happening in the country because we are so focused on what all you guys are doing, all the nonsense that you guys are doing in this country. I will not stop exposing the Nigerian government, the Ghanaian, the Senegalese, the Cameroonian, but guys, I will focus mostly on the foreigners that are destroying the land in which I reside, in which my children reside. I've got a retirement plan to buy a plot either in KZN or somewhere in Northwest, Western Cape and retire, have a farm, have a few animals and everything and live off grid and just be with my wife and my kids. Well, my kids will probably travel the world or do their thing. I have no plans to ever move back to Angola and live there unless there is a reason for me to. But if anything that Ibrahim has taught us, that it is time for us to take control. Because this old man will not fix this land. They are too greedy, too corrupt. And they are controlled by the past and they possess too much fear. We are the ones that are fearless. Nigeria, Ghana, Cameroon, Congo, Zimbabwe, Senegal, Angola, and every single African country, 54 in total. We can no longer bow down to Europe, America, Asia, or whoever it is, Russia, who wants us to bow down to them. They need us, we don't need them. We have the natural resources, we have the manpower. Without blacks and Africans, Europe would have never been built and will never be able to sustain themselves. We are the leaders of this planet Earth. If you love your life so much that you do not even want to leave a future for your own children, you are selfish. Americans, Europeans will join the military and risk their life so that they can give their children a future. We don't join the military. If we join the military, it's because we have no other option. But we are also not joining the military to go fight for the freedom of our nation, but instead to fight each other. I specifically chose to shoot this episode this way, and I pray that everyone in Africa watches this and understands that the only way for us to win Africa and win Africa back is to be united. This episode probably might not even trend. It might not even get 10,000 views because it is, look at the Chidima video. The Chidima video is now sitting on 13,000. Something that stupid had people wild, going crazy. But something as important as this will just pass people's ears. Well, I got a lot to say, I got a lot to expose, and I hope more people are willing to listen, because change for Africa is possible. A 36-year-old is now running a country and making change for his country. I'm 37. How old are you? Can we also make that change for our country, our countries, our areas, our neighborhoods, or is our excuse that one man can make a difference? I'm your boy Uncle P. Africa Unite is the mission. But until then, we expose. See you guys in the next episode. Peace.